Please like and subscribe. Joseph is a significant figure in the Bible, and his story is told in the book of Genesis, chapters 37-50. Here's a detailed summary. Joseph was the 11th of 12 sons born to Jacob, who was also known as Israel. Joseph's mother was Rachel, Jacob's favorite wife. The story begins with Joseph as a 17-year-old young man who helps his father manage the family's flocks. Jacob loves Joseph more than his other sons, and he gives Joseph a special coat, often referred to as a coat of many colors. Joseph's brothers are jealous of their father's favoritism and resent Joseph's privileged status. One day, Joseph has a dream that he shares with his brothers, in which they bow down to him. This further angers his brothers, who are already envious. The brothers plot against Joseph and decide to sell him into slavery when they have the opportunity. Meanwhile, they took him to a place called Dothan and stripped him of his special coat. Then, they threw him into a dry well, or a cistern, which was a deep hole in the ground used to collect water. The well was empty, and Joseph was left there, helpless and alone. His brothers intended to leave him there to die, but then they saw a group of Midianite traders passing by. They decided to sell Joseph to the traders instead, who took him to Egypt and sold him into slavery. The well was a symbolic place of death and darkness, but it also represented a turning point in Joseph's journey. It was the lowest point in his life, but it was also the beginning of his rise to greatness. In the well, Joseph was at the mercy of his brothers and the circumstances, but God was still with him, even in the darkness. And it was God who ultimately brought Joseph out of the well and into a place of power and influence. The story of Joseph in the well is a powerful reminder that, even in the darkest moments of our lives, God is still present and still working for our good. And it's a testament to Joseph's faith and resilience, that he was able to trust in God, even when all hope seemed lost. After Joseph was sold into slavery by his brothers, the brothers deceived their father by telling him that Joseph has been killed by a wild animal, and they show him the coat stained with blood as proof. However, in actuality, he was taken to Egypt and sold to Potiphar, a high-ranking official in Pharaoh's household. Joseph became a trusted servant in Potiphar's household, and he was put in charge of managing the household and overseeing the other servants. However, things took a turn for the worse when Potiphar's wife, whose name is not mentioned in the Bible, began to take notice of Joseph. She was attracted to him and repeatedly tried to seduce him, but Joseph refused her advances, citing his loyalty to Potiphar and his own moral principles. One day, Potiphar's wife falsely accused Joseph of attempting to rape her, and Potiphar believed her lies. Joseph was arrested and thrown into jail, where he remained for several years. Despite being in jail, Joseph continued to trust in God and maintained a positive attitude. He even helped his fellow prisoners, including 2 men who had been servants of Pharaoh. One of these men, the cupbearer, was restored to his position, and Joseph asked him to remember him and speak to Pharaoh on his behalf. However, the cupbearer forgot about Joseph until Pharaoh had a dream that none of his advisors could interpret. The cupbearer remembered Joseph and told Pharaoh about him. Joseph was summoned from jail, interpreted Pharaoh's dream, and was subsequently appointed as Pharaoh's right-hand man, overseeing all of Egypt. Joseph's time in jail was a difficult period in his life, but it was also a time of spiritual growth and preparation for his future role. Despite being falsely accused and imprisoned, Joseph remained faithful and continued to trust in God's sovereignty. Years pass, and Joseph's brothers come to Egypt seeking food during a famine. Joseph, now a powerful official in Egypt, recognizes his brothers, but does not reveal his identity initially. He tests their character and eventually reveals himself to them. Joseph's brothers are shocked and ashamed, but Joseph forgives them and invites them to settle in Egypt. Jacob and the entire family eventually move to Egypt, where they are reunited with Joseph. The story of Joseph is a powerful tale of jealousy, betrayal, forgiveness, and redemption. It highlights Joseph's faithfulness and God's sovereignty, even in the midst of difficult circumstances, temptation, and false accusations.